Hi, this is Kerry with Multicopter Warehouse and the DJI Colorado store in Lone Tree, Colorado. And I've got something new for you today, the new ND filter kit from Polar Pro. And if you don't know why you need ND filters, it's something you probably need to study up on. But for a simple explanation, the Osmo Action has adjustable ISO and shutter, but not aperture. And when we're doing filming, we want the shutter speed to be double the frame rate. So if we're shooting at 24 frames per second, we want the shutter speed to be as close to 1/48th of a second, probably 1/50th on this guy. And if we're shooting at 60 frames per second, we want it to be at 1/120th of a second. The problem is, without having an adjustable aperture, if you're out in bright sunlight, there's no way to get that shutter speed down. On a bright day here in Colorado, I may be running 24 frames per second at 1080p with my ISO all the way down to ISO 100, and I may be able to push 1/2000th or 1/2500th of a second. The problem with that is if there's a lot of movement, you're going to get this jerkiness to the footage because there's a big gap between each frame of the video. What we want to do is slow that shutter speed down so that we have a natural motion blur from one frame to the next. That'll give us what looks like very smooth footage, more cinematic looking than more video camera looking. And the way to do that is with neutral density filters. Now, DJI didn't make a standard lens filter configuration on here, but what they did do is they made this lens cover removable, so you can just unscrew it. And this is what makes the Polar Pro ND filter kit so unique, is in here there is a single base. And the way this works is the base screws on to the Osmo Action, if you can get it put on correctly. And you can just leave that on there. Now when you want to change ND filters, you just grab the filter, and it's a magnetic mount that is very, very, very sturdy. This thing is not going to come off in normal use. You need to change it because the lighting conditions have changed. You need to grab a darker or a lighter one, grab it, pop it on there. So very, very cool design. In fact, I told the CEO over at Polar Pro that this is probably the most impressed I've ever been with a Polar Pro product. Now, what we have is the 5-pack, and this is going to come with an ND4, 8, 16, 32, and 64 filter. This should cover pretty much any given situation. If you're in Southern California and it's an overcast day, there's not a lot of light coming through, you may only need an ND8 or an ND16. Here in Colorado, we have a mile less atmosphere for that sun to go through. So it gets very, very bright here. On a bright sunny day in the middle of the day, we're probably going to need to go all the way up to an ND64. Now the way to tell is, well, you can get the Polar Pro app that can help you determine which filter to use, or very simply, you set your camera settings the way you want, and in most cases I'm going to be at ISO 100, 24 frames per second, and it's going to tell me what my exposure is. It's going to say +3, +4, +5, whatever the exposure is, and I can just grab an ND filter, put it on there, and I want that EV value to be close to 0 or just slightly above it. Usually not below it, but slightly above it by even 0.3, 0.7 is going to be a really good range to be in so that you're not just blowing out your highlights and you're not crushing your shadows. You want it 0 to slightly above 0 without getting into +1 or +2. If you need to adjust it, grab a lighter or darker filter, put it on there, aim at your scene, check your exposure. If everything looks good, you're set to go. Over time, with a little bit of practice, you'll be able to look at the sky, look at the scene and go, this looks like an ND32 kind of day. Grab your ND32, drop it on there, and you're set to go. So it does take a little bit of practice and experience to just be able to analyze a scene with your eyes and figure out which filter to use. But in most cases, just get your scene set up, get your ISO set as low as possible, get your shutter speed set appropriately for your frame rate, and then just look at the scene and go, oh, I need more or less ND filter, and then adjust accordingly. So this is a fantastic product from Polar Pro. I'm really thrilled about how they did this design, and it would have cost a lot more money had they put threads on every one of these so that they could mount on. But by using this one single base on here and the magnetic threads or the magnetic lock with the ND filters, they're able to bring the cost down on this whole kit. So we do have the 5-pack in stock right now. It's $129. It's ready to ship right now. And I think you will absolutely love it. If you're trying to get the best looking footage from your DJI Osmo Action, there is simply no better choice, and really no, you need to have ND filters. So if you're gonna get ND filters, get good ones. The Polar Pro or multi-coated, you're not gonna get the glare, you're not gonna get color cast that you will on cheaper ones. So if you're trying to get good footage, don't cheap out on your ND filters. Get the best, get Polar Pro. And get them here at multicopterwarehouse.com or in our retail store in Lone Tree, Colorado, DJI Colorado. This has been Kerry. Thanks for watching. Be sure and like and subscribe. Check that bell icon to get notified whenever we put out new videos. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.